Another year's passed, and the Dallas Cowboys have failed in the playoffs. How can they get over the hump? By going through the 2024 NFL Draft, I think tackle out of Arizona, Jordan Morgan, will be a great addition to this offensive line. We're going to talk about this and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout and a senior draft analyst. And guys, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. I got to kick this introduction over to my guy, my brother, Mr. LSU himself, Keith Sanchez. You can find and follow him on X at The Talent Code. Keep talking to him, baby.
What's up, Locked On family? This is Keith Sanchez, 2019 national champ with those LSU Tigers, man. And the other side to this dynamic duo that we call the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, where we talk everything college football, we talk everything NFL football. And like we like to say, it all starts with the NFL draft. So I want to say shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in each and every single day. This is the best place for everything NFL draft content. So if you haven't hit the like button, I'm telling you, this is an action-packed show. Go hit the like button. Don't forget to comment after each segment, right? And then if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. DP, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. How about them Cowboys? We're talking about the Cowboys, the draft needs. We are getting into it. And then we bring it back our segment, man, this or that, right? We had two Alabama corners. Yes, two of them that could be potential first-round picks that we're going to have a conversation about. And then what? Coach them up, right? When we pick the player, we tell the coaches that this guy has all the skill sets, all the traits, all the physical tools. You just need to coach him up. But DP, before we get into this, I think this is going to be a Hall of Fame show right here. Before we get into this show, DP, why don't you hit him with our title sponsor?
This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code, all lowercase, LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. The Dallas Cowboys, Keith, and when you look at some
how about them Cowboys, DP?
Right? we believed in them yet again, got me with the okie doke, and I'm tired of getting caught with the okie doke. I want the Dallas Cowboys to live up to the hype that they typically have every single season. Some of that, they have some weaknesses, right? And Tyron Smith, I think Tyler Biadasz, both guys, starters on this offensive line are going to be heading into free agency. And for one of the prospects that, right now, per Tankathon, the Dallas Cowboys are sitting with the 24th pick of the 2024 NFL Draft. So you know that Olu, Joe Alt, Talise Fuaga's probably gone. J.C. Latham's probably gone. Marius Mims most likely is gone. But a guy, Keith, that little over 22, he's about 22 years old, standing at 6'6", 320 pounds from the University of Arizona, Jordan Morgan, right? If you don't want to bring back Tyron Smith, right, who's battled injuries, the cost to be a big thing. And even if you did bring him back, you still need, because Terrence Steele had not played great football in 2024. This offensive line needs to get, continue to get younger, get more athletic, and just continue to improve. I think Jordan Morgan, you turn on the tape against him versus UCLA, and you're dealing with Gabriel Murphy, Latu, he handled himself well. I don't believe he gave up a pressure, a hurry, or sack in that game. He was locked down in that game. You're talking about a guy that has good wingspan, good arm length, but he's got a good recovery agility and athleticism, and then he's strong-handed. Even if, he does need to work on, and I say this about most of these tackles I've watched, the hand carriage is kind of iffy, and then it's wide, and it's just something that they're being taught. But even when you do get your hands into his chest to try and drive him back, he has the strength to plant his feet and anchor and stop the momentum. This is a guy who we're going to see down in the Senior Bowl. I'm really excited to see what he's able to do there, period. But I think he'll be a good fit, especially beside Tyler Smith, a guy, I think those two as a tandem, athletic, physical, strong, helping the run game, because that power run game is something the Cowboys lack this year. I heard all the Tony Pollard talk. I know people blame Ezekiel Elliott and say, listen, we don't want to pay him no more. He's washed up. he didn't look washed up in New England when he got his carries. All right. And you could have used those carries in Dallas. So I think Jordan Morgan is a prospect they definitely should have their eyes on.
Yeah, well, DP, I'm gonna go ahead and list real quick the positional needs, right? When you analyze this team and look at this team real quick, you mentioned offensive tackle, right? Then center, right? Like you talked about Tyler Biadasz. Then running back, right? You mentioned that, and then also DP. I'm gonna throw in another position, wide receiver, right? And I'm gonna get into that conversation real quick. And then you look on the defensive side of the football. What are what guys do they need to draft, right? What positions of need do they have entering the draft? Interior defensive line is a glaring need, right? And then this is the next position, DP. I want this linebacker. This is what needs to happen. The Dallas Cowboys front office, they need to stop lying to themselves and telling themselves you have an all-pro linebacker. Michael Parsons is not a linebacker. Michael Parsons is an edge rusher. Put him at edge rusher and let him do what he does best, right? You have a hole at linebacker. So stop analyzing your roster. And then if you see a positional need, you just on your board, right? You just move Michael Parsons back and forth and say, oh, no, we got an all-pro edge rusher and an all-pro linebacker. No, it only counts one. He only gets to count at one position, right? So they need to address the linebacker position, and then also defensive back. I think safety, right? I think you can afford to get younger. You can get more versatile. You can get better at the safety position. But I'm going to list off some prospects, DP. First of all, defensive line, right? You talk about Alabama edge defender / interior defensive lineman, Justin Boydby, man. Nobody's talking about him, but you're talking about a technician against the run, 6'3" and a half-ish, right? You're talking about strong, sturdy, physical at the point of attack, but also he finished this season with 7 sacks, DP. So there's something there for him as a pass rusher, right? And I think they need these lunch pail type of guys along this Dallas Cowboys defensive front. Then you don't have to go much further, right? The next defensive lineman I'm going to rattle off, T'Vondre Sweat. 6'3", you need beef? This guy is 6'3", 350, right? He's a big old boy, just a run stuffer, right? And we've heard the reports, DP, I know you talked about it, right? They dropped Mozzie Smith to 290, right? So then that way he can be more versatile. You need run stoppers, right? So go draft this guy, T'Vondre Sweat. You may be able to get him in the second round. Potentially, we'll see how he tests. But I like that. And then look at the linebacker position. You know what would kind of be pretty good, and I thought about this, DP, before I went to sleep. I thought about this. You know, the draft is on our mind 24/7, 365 over here, right? I said, what if the Dallas Cowboys draft Philadelphia Eagles legend Jeremiah Trotter's son, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And he's exactly what they need at linebacker. You need an instinctual guy. You need a guy that has done it at a high level for a very long time. Now, everybody's going to say, oh, he may not run a 4.4 and he may not do this. Guess what? It's just like the safety position, DP. His instincts will make up for that 40 time, and you need a thumper that can simply stop the run, because we all thought that it was going to be the 49ers, right, or the Philadelphia Eagles that get the Dallas Cowboys in the run. And guess what? The Green Bay Packers said, you know what? We're going to do it first, right? We're not going to wait on it. We're going to get to them first. So I think that's the defensive prospects, DP. When you look at Jeremiah Trotter, T'Vondre Sweat, Justin Boydby to look at. But if you don't mind, I want to switch back to the offensive side of football. Wide receiver. Dak Prescott, when you look at him, right, he's a quarterback. I think he likes giving his wide receivers the opportunity to win, right? Mm-hmm. So they're physical, right? Like he wants physical wide receivers. Like even that interception that he threw, right? When you talk about Brandon Hooks running a whip route, you know, like you got to fight through that, right? And he gives his wide receivers the opportunity to win. And in my opinion, as a wide receiver, that's what I want, right? I don't want a quarterback that only throws it when I'm wide open, right? Give me opportunity to win. And I think there's not a sneaky pick that I love and I put in my mock draft already. Xavier Legette, DP, South Carolina wide receiver, Xavier Legette. I think he can do magic paired with CeeDee Lamb.
No, I like that, Keith, because, you know, like you said, pairing with CeeDee Lamb, this is a guy who's a better route runner than people want to give credit to. Yep. 6'1" to 6'3". We'll get the official measurement down in Mobile. But a guy who topped off at like 22 plus miles per hour on the GPS, you know, on a couple catch and run plays, but also he's got, you know, that he's got yak ability and the ability to make guys miss or fight through contact, but then also dominate at the catch point. He will be, to me, a souped up version of what they thought they were getting out of Jalen Tolbert. But Keith, I want to flip back to the defensive side. You said Jeremiah Trotter Jr. to the Dallas Cowboys. I love that, especially because it's probably going to be second, third round, right? I think he's going to get the Nakobe Dean treatment where he's going to measure in 5'11", 6 foot, 225, 230. People are like, you're not big enough, right? Meanwhile, we'll bring safeties down who are 6'1",
Hey,
215,
make
and
it
say
make
play
sense for me,
linebacker.
DP. Make it
Okay,
make sense for me. I don't get it. Make it
the
make sense
math
for me.
ain't mathing, is it now? Okay, that's fine. So you get them in the third round, and if you're able to grab a Devondre Sweat, grab a Justin Egboigbe, both, if you pick one or the other, then hey, let's beef Mozzie Smith back up, and now you have a strong interior D line to where Jeremiah Trotter Jr. can sit in the back end and just play linebacker, and they can keep him covered. They can cover him up and allow him to play instinctive football, flow with the ball, let Micah Parsons play full-time edge, and just allow this defense to mature in that way. Because right now, when you can't stop the run, you can't stop anything, man.
Yep, no, I agree 100% with DP. We're going to continue, right? We'll talk about the Dallas Cowboys because we know where they'll come up. They stay in the headlines, right? But we're trying to fix this roster one position at a time through the NFL draft. Like we said, man, it all starts with the NFL draft. But DP, let's keep this thing going and flowing, man. We're talking this or that, right? And y'all might want to stay tuned because we're pairing two teammates against each other, man. Who are we going to pick? This or that coming up next.
This next segment is brought to us by our sponsor, BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased on your life. So today, I want to say how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking about the same thing later this week. Guys, it's NFL draft season, but I'm also very happy and pleased to be watching NFL playoffs. Okay, so the ability and the opportunity to watch some of the best under the best and biggest and brightest lights to see who is going to shine the brightest. It's a fun experience. CJ Stroud versus Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. You can't ask for much better than that. So guys, understand that if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. All right, visit betterhelp.com/locked-on to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/locked-on. This or that, guys, cornerback edition. And we're talking Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's been in this hot seat before versus Nate Wiggins, versus his own teammate, Terrion Arnold. Kool-Aid McKinstry listed at 6'1", 195 from the University of Alabama. Terrion Arnold listed at 6 foot, 196. And Keith, this is a topic we've kind of discussed off air. Like, man, we got to find a time to talk about these two guys and who's really CB1, right? As we've gone through the film. And I'm gonna say this, Keith, it's crazy because when you look at them on tape, Terrion Arnold he looks to be the smaller guy. I think he's probably gonna be 5'11". You know what I mean? I don't think he's 6'5". I think he's 5'11". I think Kool-Aid's probably 6'1", 6 foot. We'll see. Probably 6 foot. But Kool-Aid looks like the taller, longer guy out of the two, right? But when I watch Terrion, he seems like the more physical out of the two. And you think about those specific to the AFC North, right? The NFC South, where his physicality he embodies that. A guy that will take on stock blocks, literally run support. He's a heavy hitter, you know what I mean, working downhill, but his coverage ability in terms of footwork, patience, staying square, using 1-inch steps, kick stepping, kick sliding, trying to stay within phase of guys, not being even because and he can be aggressive and try to hard press, but I appreciate his usage of soft technique. Don't have to get hands on. I could just mirror and match you, baby. And when you do get into your stem, I'm right there on that hip pocket. I'm going to squeeze you to the sideline if you go outside, turn my head and look for the ball. Out of these two, Arnold has the best ball skills too. There was a play against Kentucky where I think he's playing zone. I think if I can remember, I think it was zone. They threw, I think it was an out route to the left sideline, and his break was so quick twitch and explosive. He made a diving interception, and I'm just like, yo, this kid he's a little different in terms of the total package. So I think when we talked, I can't remember if I had Nate Wiggins at CB1. You had Kool-Aid McKinstry on that episode.
Yep.
Terrion Arnold has a real case for CB1 in this class.
No, I agree with that 100%. And the ball skills, DP talk about the Kentucky game, but you want to go over ball tracking, right? Go put on the Ole Miss tape, man. And the interception he had against Ole Miss, I think he wasn't even on that wide receiver, right? And they were running vertical, and then he tracked the ball over his back shoulder, came up with. I'm like, man, that's special, right? Like that's what you want out of your cornerback, man. And I always talk about this, right? Panic versus patience while the ball is in the air, and you don't see him panic very much, man. It's and the reason I want to pair these guys up, DP, because I think we kind of get a little bit into the conversation of potential versus kind of what you know it is, right? And I think JaQuincy is more of the what you know it is, because he's another soft shoe guy, fluid hip, smooth mover. I think he's more consistent across the board, right? As far as you can tell, he's been doing it at a much longer time, playing the cornerback position. And then Terrion makes the flash plays, right? But there's also variance in what he's going to offer you. A couple of them, he's going to get beat in press, and you'll be like, oh man, that was just bad eyes right there. Why'd you do that? Right? Like you know what I'm saying? And those, especially with those wide receivers, what they start to do is now that it's the delayed release, right? It's that quick foot, those rapid feet, right? At when the ball is snapped, and all they do is they wait for the defensive back to declare or to make a false step, right? And you can see that Terrion, he just has to become a little bit more patient in that. But DP, I mean, we have to pick one, right? We talked about it. We have to pick one, man. And I'll be honest, I'm torn. I think I'm going to go with Terrion Arnold, and I'm going to go Terrion Arnold with this. I put it in my mock draft, and man, one of my guys, he made me look so good for this mock. James Bradbury, DP, when he missed that tackle, I said, you know what? I put Terrion Arnold in my mock draft. It couldn't be a better fit, because you just talked about Terrion Arnold's willingness to tackle, right? And James Barry, the way he missed that tackle, I thought that was a rookie, DP. I thought that was Keely Ringo, Elias Ricks. I thought that was a rookie. The way he over pursued it, that or under pursued it. I don't know what he was doing. I was just as lost as Ray Lewis, right? Me and Ray Lewis were sitting there like, what's going on? But I'm going to go, if I had to pick this or that, it's something I usually don't do, but I'm going to go with the potential part of it with Terrion, because I've seen flashes of it on film. I'm going to pick him.
No, listen, and Kool-Aid McKinstry is one of the better man-to-man corners in this class, like through and through.
I think he has the feet work, and I want to throw this in there for both of those guys, DP. I think they can get it done in different ways. I think they both have nickel versatility also. I think Terrion is your Devin Witherspoon nickel, right? Where you sit him on blitzes, you let him do different things like that. I think that Kool-Aid is more of your play man on a slot and lock him up, right? I think that's what he is too. So I just wanted to throw that out there also, as far as versatility with these guys off.
No, I like that guy. I remember you first said it, it was like, DB, I think he could play in the nickel. And I'm like, and my mind immediately went back to like what he's listed at 6'1". So we'll see when we get to the combine how tall the arm length of a Kool-Aid McKinstry. But like you said, like this is he's been one of the best man-to-man corners over like his career at Alabama, right? Like I remember tweeting that out last year, last draft cycle. I was like, he's not coming out this year, but man, the numbers he put up, this dude's been locked down in man-to-man coverage. He didn't give up a lot of room to guys. We watched Brian Thomas Jr., who's one of the biggest risers of the wide receiver group. Yeah, no, he went up against Kool-Aid. It was very, very limited and little success had on that night.
Yeah, and I would give them too, DP. The LSU game from last year. Go cut on that game when he battled Malik Neighbors, man. You're talking about Malik Neighbors had no choice but to make contested catches because Kool-Aid was right there on his back every single time.
It was a heavyweight fight, felt like, right? Like it was a big fight feels where it was just like you mentioned it, Keith. It was crazy because like Malik Neighbors was pushing off so much because he was like Kool-Aid was attached to him. You know what I mean? Like a bad perm. Like he was right in the hip pocket over and over again. And I'm like, and I think that's probably one of the things with both of these guys is kind of like the play strength against bigger receivers. You wonder, like, all right, are you going to get chicken winged out of the spot? You're going to get out positioned on the boundary, things like that, with the functional strength and body control and balance. But yeah, I mean, that was one of my favorite battles to watch last, and neither one of the guys were coming out in the draft. I just watched the tape just to watch it because they were just so fun to watch because of the ability, the competitiveness, the physicality between the two. You could just tell two dogs in one cage, and they're just trying to figure out who's going to own this cage. So I think for me, if you ask me who am I picking, Keith, I'm gonna go potential as well. I'm a ceiling guy and all that good stuff. I'm gonna go potential. I really like what I've seen from Terrion, and the growth. I think you talked about it a couple times. Just growth with Terrion, the coachability with Terrion. I don't think we've seen the best of Terrion. I think we're just seeing just glimpses and the flashes of it. And I think there's some more brilliance to be had for this young man's game. And I can't wait to see him get with an NFL team, Keith.
Yep, no, I agree 100%. That's the key to this, man. Growth, growth, growth. DP, you know what we trying to do, man? We trying to coach him up, right? We about to pick the player. We're gonna tell the coaches, man, like I said, this guy has the traits. He has the tools, right? And I say this, right? I say this at the top of the show. Go ahead and drop comments, man. We on to the second segment, on to the third segment, as a matter of fact. Go ahead, comment, man. Talk to us. We like to talk back, man, and let's get this thing going. Coming up next, man, is the coach him up segment where we pick the player. We tell the coaches to coach him.
At the start of the new year, every small business owner is asking themselves the same question. What's the one move I can make that'll take my business to the next level in 2024? LinkedIn Jobs knows that your success all depends on the team you surround yourself with. That's why LinkedIn Jobs has created the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn is not just another job board, guys. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. So it's very simple. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Buying tickets to your next big event should not be hard, stressful. It should be easy and should be fun for you. But if you wait to the last minute, you will have none of those things because you're trying to compete with other buyers, deal with trying to find the best deals and trying to avoid dealing with crazy scammers and scalpers of tickets. But let me introduce you to the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. Guys, Game Time gives you last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals. Their tickets are easy to find and buy. And this is my favorite part. They show the views from all the seats in the venue so you know which vantage point you will have before you purchase said ticket. If you are in the Baltimore area, you can go see CJ Stroud versus Lamar Jackson, okay, this Saturday at 4:30 on the Game Time app for as low as or as cheap as $114 per ticket. So all you need to do is download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKED ON for $20 off your first purchase. Coaches, we got some guys we need you to coach up. And for me, Keith, I got to stay in my neck of the woods, the Clemson, South Carolina area.
Okay.
With Ruke Orhorhoro, interior defensive lineman.
How do you say that? How you say that again?
Ruke Orhorhoro.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I got that down packed by now. I got it down packed. 6'4", 295. Keith, I graded him as a mid to high second round pick. And I know people are like, well, DP, what do you mean you got to coach him up? To get the best of him, I think the best version of him, Keith, is Ravens interior defensive lineman Justin Madubuike. Like a guy who has 12 and a half, 13 sacks, and he's an interior D lineman. He's listed at 6'4", 305. So the body types are similar, and who they were as prospects from when I remember watching Justin coming out of college, they were similar. They were run first guys that were really good at the point of attack, long arm length, all that good stuff. You just had to develop them even more so as a pass rusher. You saw the flashes and glimpses of quickness and burst off the ball. You saw them be able to soften angles and get quickly into the backfield. But it was more so building on that consistency, right? And I feel that's where Ruke can be. Now, again, 12 and a half, 13 sacks from interior defensive lineman that is not Chris Jones or not Aaron Donald, and he's not talked about. That's crazy to me. Yep. But that's the arc I see with Ruke, man. Verified from, talking to sources, 34 inches on the arms, right? This is a guy that's densely built, strong, and physical. There's reps on tape where he's not just collapsing the interior offensive line. He's putting guys on their backs. He's driving them backwards like literally like he is a locomotive. And it's hard to, if you don't get your hands into him, you don't get that bumper on the inside, he can work an interior offensive lineman. He's got to work on some things in terms of hand counters. right? Being able to throw a double hand swipe, be able to give a long arm over, right? Just working the half man technique, getting that long punch, that long arm right down the center of the chest plate, and basically neutralizing one half of the blocker and allowing that to allow you. All right, now I work on the right side. So just I think the nuance as a pass rusher needs to be coached up, and just the technique of him. But man, if you get that coached up on him, you got yourself in a legitimate 3-down defensive lineman. Because again, he's not 315, but the power he plays with will make you think he's 315. So I think for me, man, he's one of those guys, one of my favorite prospects in this class, a guy I can't wait to see where he lands. And we're going to see him down in Mobile as well. This is a guy that has a lot of potential on third downs. He just got to be coached up from a pass rush situation.
No, I like that, DP. And I watched Ruke a little bit during the season, right? And I just like those big guys, right? If I'm building a football team, I'm building them. And my defensive alignment, I promise you, we are not going to have Dallas Cowboys type issues, right? I'm getting real 300-pounders, and I want them to look the part. And I'll say this, man. I mentioned Justin Eboigbe at the top of the show as a prospect for the Dallas Cowboys. I think Orhorhoro should definitely be on their radar, man. You can't underestimate those guys that are consistent against the run, right? Because it sets a tone early, and then come the third and fourth quarter, those are the guys that are dominating in the trenches, right? And making it extremely difficult for offenses to get those key drives going when you're talking about the back end of the game. So I like Ruke a lot. Also, in those two guys, Ruke and Justin Eboigbe, DP, I'm talking about defensive linemen. I love defensive line play. Those are two players that I will be looking at for sure at the Senior Bowl, because I think they have every opportunity to raise their draft stocks significantly. Much like for Darian Mathis, I think went to the Senior Bowl. Byron Young from last year, right, who I think was a second-round pick, I believe. So both of those guys, they did the same thing, same body types, right? And I think they can make a lot of headway as far as raising their draft stock. DP, I'm gonna go to small school, man. I'm gonna go to small school, and we've had. I don't want to throw comps out, right? But we've had some small school wide receivers, right? We did the Calvin Austin, for the 2022 draft, right?
Yeah.
We did Tank Dell, right, for the 2023 draft. I'm going to talk about Tulane wide receiver Jaquan Jackson. Yes, Tulane, right there in New Orleans, not too far from me, DP. I watched the film. I watched the film the past couple of days, and I like some of the things I see. I think this is a guy that has a little bit, I want to say a wow factor, but I think he can put some DBs on skates a little bit. You talk about the short area quickness, ability to accelerate, decelerate, stop ability. He has some of that, man. And then you watched him. I watched him against USC, watched a little bit against Ole Miss, right? Watched some clips, and I think he's a guy that at the top of the route, right? You're talking about that rocker step, being able to stem some defensive backs. He can get defensive backs on skates, and I think he's a 3-level winner, meaning short, intermediate, and deep ball. Now, why is he in the coach him up segment, DP? There's a reason why you got to coach him up, right? You got to coach him up because I've seen some inconsistencies with the drops, right? So that means we got to get on the jugs machine. That's all that means, DP. I can't listen. I could coach the catching part of it, right? I could put you on a jug machine. I can't coach you as far as I can't make you that much faster, right? I can't make you that much faster. So the speed he has is just a matter of the consistency catching the football, catching it in high traffic areas, and just working on the little nuanced details. But this is a guy that is a punt return and kick return also. So you're talking about a guy that can contribute in multiple facets of the game. So definitely a person that I'm excited about when it comes down to potential to make plays.
No, I like that, Keith, because at the end of the day, like you said, I can't teach you and coach you up the athletic traits, but I can get you to catch the ball better, right? And he's listed at like 5'11", 185. And now, Keith, I want to ask you real quick: is this a guy you think is he going to be primarily a slot in the NFL? Do you think he can give you some outside reps as well?
I think projecting, right, he's probably more of a slot wide receiver.
Gotcha.
I think he can give you some reps on the outside, but I think he'll probably be best at slot. I'll say that. I think he's best at slot, but I think he can be a high level. Don't even want to call him a utility guy, but somewhat of that, right? Like I said, the kick return, the punt return, slot, jet motion, do some different things with him, and he has the short area quickness, ability to break tackles, via his elusiveness and just contact balance. So there's some things, some traits there that I like about him as a wide receiver.
No, I mean, I haven't gotten eyes on him yet, so I'm excited to see, what he's able to do, and just kind of how he moves, man. Because I mean, I think a big thing is like this is a big wide receiver class, right? You know what I mean? You look at all the guys we talk about, the top outside of Malik Neighbors are 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", with Marvin, Keon, and Rome. You know what I mean? Then you think about Leggett and Troy Franklin, 6'2", 6'3". It's just a lot of tall guys. So those smaller receivers are going to find themselves a home day 2 and day 3 where teams are like, you know what? I need this specific type of skill set in my offense and on my team. And it sounds like this young man's going to has one of those skill sets that teams are going to look at. And I can't wait to get eyes on him.
Yeah, and I hope that he's paired on a team with either Michael Pratt or Michael Penix, right? Those high volume throwers of the football, and just being able to I'm talking about the Senior Bowl. And I hope that we able to see him really run those one-on-ones and really grade that athletic profile, because I do think there's something there for him to get open and to make some plays. The DP, we're talking about it, man. Listen, that wraps up another show of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I told you that was going to be an action-packed show, man. So if you haven't hit the like button, go ahead and like. If you haven't commented, go ahead and comment. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this each and every single day, man, 24/7, 365. I want to say shout out to our everydayers. And listen, man, I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there, man, that is my co-host. You can find him on X at DP_NFL, man. And like we always like to say, y'all talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. We're getting into the Senior Bowl on tomorrow, guys. We're going to talk about some of those offensive tackles that you need to be watching down in Mobile. We're about, a week and a half, 2 weeks away from the kickoff of the event. Man, the draft starts in Mobile, and we can't wait to touch down. So, guys, come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.